Hi you guys, welcome to target number 2 today on solving a formula for any variable. Another word we may refer to this to is literal equations. Great job with target number 1 yesterday. We are moving on. All right, so the first thing as we look at this picture here, in class we'll pause and we'll kind of talk about the difference between an equation and a literal equation. First thing we might notice is an equation has one variable. So I can see all the way down the list here just an x, a y, and a w. But as soon as we move over to literal equations, we start to see two or more variables. So more variables are popping up here. So the difference when we're solving an equation, we've been very used to getting something like x equals 4, x equals 12. A literal equation is going to be different. Our solution is going to be have multiple letters inside of the solution. So we won't just come out with an x equals something, we'll come out with x equals some other letters as well. So it's going to be more about rearranging an equation. Between an equation and a literal equation, with a literal So let's look at a few level 1 examples as we get familiar again with these literal equations. So we'll notice in level 1 here, we're trying to solve this equation for h. So one thing I like to do is I like to circle my variable so I know what I'm trying to get alone. So we'll see here we want h by itself, and right now I have times b in the way of h. So to get rid of a times b, I'm going to divide by b on both sides. So therefore, on the left-hand side, I'm going to be left with here a divided by b, and on the right hand side we have h. So we got h by itself, which means our problem is done. H equals a divided by b, so we rearranged this equation. Our next one, we're trying to get x by itself, so again I'm going to circle that x, and instead here of x being by itself we have a plus 3 in the way. So let's go ahead and minus 3 from both sides to get rid of that. So then on the left-hand side, we have y minus 3. And on the right-hand side, we have x. Our goal was to get x by itself, and it is. And letter C, we're trying to get L by itself. Circle L here. So in the way of L being by itself is a times W and a times H. And since these are both multiplied, we can actually go ahead and divide by both of them at the same time. So we're going to have V divided by WH equals L. L is by itself, so therefore we have solved. Now again, notice as we talk about equation, none of these answers are just x equals some sort of number. There's multiple letters in these problems, multiple variables. Let's check out some level 2 examples. So we're trying to get x by itself. So the first thing let's do is get rid of the minus 4y by adding 4y to both sides. So now on the left, we just have 2x. And on the right, we have 7, now plus 4y. We can't combine those things because they are not like terms. All right, next we need to get rid of the times 2. We're trying to get x by itself. So notice on this right-hand side how everything over here I'm dividing by 2. Not just one of the pieces, everything is divided by 2. So we could leave our answer like this, or we could do 7 divided by 2, which is 3.5, and 4y divided by 2, which is 2y. So either way to write that answer is fine. All right, let's look at our next one. This one we are aiming to solve for h, so we have a few things in the way. First, we have a times 1/3. This kind of looks like a divide by 3. So I'm going to times by 3 to get rid of that. So then we'll have 3v equals b times h. And again, we're trying to get h by itself, so I need to get rid of a times b by dividing by b. So now on the left-hand side, we have 3v, all of this divided by b. And on the right-hand side, we're left with h. So h is by itself. That was our goal. All right, next one here, we're trying to get y by itself. So notice this big divide by 3 here. That's kind of keeping y plus a stuck. So let's get rid of that divide by 3 first by multiplying by 3 on both sides. So now we'll have y plus a equals 3 times c. Now to get y by itself, we need to get rid of our plus a by minusing a. And we'll be left with y equals 3c minus a. So we can see as we look from those level 1s to level 2s. Level 1 typically has one step, where these level 2s, we are working with multiple steps here to get our variable by itself. All right, level 3. So we are trying to get b by itself, and we'll notice b is stuck inside of those parentheses. So I could distribute this a through the parentheses, or we could get rid of this a at the very start of the problem. So since this a is touching the parentheses, that means these are combined by multiplication. So since we're multiplying but here, to get rid of multiply by a, we can go ahead and divide by a. So then we're left with b plus 1 equals 5 divided by a. Now since I'm not really needing these parentheses anymore, because we just have b plus 1, there's no confusion about the order we would do things in, I can get rid of those parentheses. Now that I got rid of that a, that was on the outside. So now to get b by itself, I'm going to go ahead and minus 1 from both sides, leaving me with b equals, we have 5 divided by a, and we're going to subtract 1 from that whole piece. This is what a level 3 problem would look like. So you'll see a level 3 has these parentheses. All right, let's try this next one, solving for n. So again, the n is stuck inside those parentheses, so first thing we need to do to get rid of the parentheses is get rid of this times m on the front. And to get rid of a times m, we'll go ahead and divide by m, leaving me with n minus 4, and then 8 over m. Now, again, since I don't really need these parentheses anymore because there wouldn't be confusion about the order that we would do these operations, we can go ahead and get rid of them. So to get n by itself, we have one more step of adding 4 to both sides. And we'll come out with n equals, we have 8 divided by m, all of this plus 4. Those are level 3 examples with those parentheses. Now since we got a little bit of extra, let's go ahead and look at this challenge problem. So this one, we want to solve for n. Now this one is tricky because n is on the bottom of a fraction. So the first thing we want to do is get n on the top, on the numerator. So to move a divide by n, we can go ahead and times by n on both sides. So I need to give myself a little more room. So when we multiply by n, we have to multiply this entire side, m minus 3, by that value of n. And on the other side of my equal sign, my divide by n and times by n went away. So now we need to get n by itself. So these parentheses are in the way of n being by itself, and these are combined with multiplication. So if I divide by this whole set of parentheses, since these are combined by multiplication, we can get rid of them. And this will leave me with n equals 2 divided by m minus 3. Now again, when we say challenge problem, this wouldn't be what you would be expected to show on a summative test at the end of the unit, but it's always good to challenge ourselves to get better, and you may see a challenge question like this on a summative at some point.